Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Uh, it's just me and my friend Ronan here today. Welcome, Ronan.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to continue work on my new CI platform, which I'm calling SaturnCI. Have you happened to catch any of the couple videos I've done on this so far, Ronan?
Sorry, no. It's on my to watch list. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no apology needed. I was just curious. Um, so this is a CI tool intended to compete with like GitHub Actions, Circle CI, that kind of thing. Um, this project is something that I got going like 6 months ago, and then I set it aside because I thought it was kind of an irresponsible use of time and money, and maybe it still is, but I'm resuming it anyway. And what I'm doing now is I'm kind of trying to revive this old project from the dead. It was hosted on AWS. That was a bit pricey, and so now I'm trying to get it up on DigitalOcean, which seems to have some less expensive options. So I'll share my screen and we can kind of pick up where I left off last time. Here we go. Okay. So I have my DigitalOcean dashboard here. And last time I was having a problem where I couldn't deploy my app. Um, Ronan, are you familiar at all with Kubernetes by chance?
Not at all.
Okay. So I'm hosting the app using Kubernetes, and part of that is I locally build an image, and then that image gets uploaded to something called a registry. Um, and I was having real problems uploading my image to the registry. I'm still not sure why, but I did a test right before this call to see if it was going to go okay today. And as you can see, this second item here was uploaded 36 minutes ago. And I can see here there's no errors. So apparently my most recent push was successful. So that's where that stands. I was able to build my image locally, get it pushed up to the registry. And the question is, now what? So I'm going to run some commands and see what I can see. First, I'm going to get my Git working status cleaned up. So I'm going to say ostensibly fix deployment. Okay, now my working state's clean. I always do that before I work on something. Um, all right, let's do this. kubectl git pods. Okay. So Ronan, a pod, let's see if I can explain this. I'm a little bit rusty on Kubernetes myself. A pod is like, well, it's roughly analogous to like a virtual machine. The idea is that you'll have a number of pods for redundancy, and each one of those pods is running an instance of your application. Okay, so I see in this status of both these two pods here, looks like one is from 2 days ago, another is from just 38 minutes ago. So I guess this same deploy that I did 36 minutes ago, this corresponds to the second pod here. And it says create container config error. I don't know exactly what that means. I think I can do something like this. kubectl describe pod and then the pod name. Oh, and I think I have to specify that I want to be in the staging namespace. Okay, so here we get our pod description. We go to the beginning of it, I'm just going to see what I can see. All right, so here again, I see my container, create container config error. Just looking for anything else that might seem interesting. Okay, here's some events at the bottom here. Successfully assigned, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Pulling image, blah, blah, blah. Successfully pulled image. Error secret Saturn secrets not found. Okay.
Just
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Ronan?
I think you found the culprit.
Looks like it. Yeah. And I vaguely remember how this works. I have to apply these secrets. First, I have to create the secrets. Um, so let's see what we're working with here. I'm gonna look in the staging folder. And so I have a secrets folder. All right. And I guess maybe I don't want to record my secrets on video, so I'm gonna momentarily stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna see what's in there. Staging secrets. Okay, I see some stuff, but it's not the right stuff. So I need to pull in, I'll share my screen again for a second. So I need to pull in these values. Database username, database password, blah, blah, blah. And some of these actually no longer apply, like the AWS stuff. That doesn't apply because I'm no longer using that. Okay. But actually, I do have all these secrets. They just haven't been applied. Yeah, I have these secrets because I was using this project before. They just haven't been applied on this infrastructure. So I don't remember how to apply secrets. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Okay, it's just that apparently. kubectl apply -f staging secrets.yaml dash in staging. Okay. So that appears to have been successful. Now I want it to show me my deployments because I want to restart my deployment. Okay. I'm going to do this. Oh, but that's 2 days old. Well, whatever. Okay. How do I restart this deployment? Okay. I don't know what this is all about. I'm just gonna rerun my deploy script. But apparently that's not gonna work. How did I do this earlier? What the heck? So I just did this like an hour ago. /deploy staging, and now that file seems to no longer exist.
Did
What's
you
this
remove
most
it?
recent commit I did? Sorry, what's that?
I was wondering if you had removed it in your last commit.
Yeah. Oh no. So it looks like I did remove it. I have no idea how. Shame on me for not reviewing the commit before not reviewing the changes before I committed. Um, but luckily I think we can do this. Okay, so we can go to one of my last videos. Yeah. And I'll have to type it again, but we can see my deploy script here.
Don't you just fetch it back from your GitHub repo?
But the thing is, the most recent committed version is no good.
Okay.
I fixed it in that I didn't commit the fix. So this here is the good version. Let's try this running. Okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
make this full screen and I'm gonna copy this. Okay. Then we'll go to ChatGPT and we'll say, convert this screenshot to code for me.
that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that.
I don't know if you can either, but we'll see. I tried something like this the other day and it was like, sorry, I can't do that. And then I was like, but what does it say? And then it did it for me. It's like, okay,
So it can do a CI.
apparently this is going to take a little bit. It's like by the time it finishes, I could have just typed it all myself.
And save a few cents.
Um, I am going to just check out the other version while I'm waiting. Looks like these first few lines are the same. Okay. And these ones are different. I want to do docctl or doctl registry login. Error. Okay. And then Docker tag registry.digitalocean.com. Actually, I can probably copy that from here. /tag. Okay. And then Docker push. Okay, so let this be a lesson, dear viewer. Always review your changes before you perform a commit. And I almost always do that, but I didn't today for some reason. Okay.
While you're redoing your script,
Mm-hmm.
don't you want to also add the command to upload the secrets in case you have changed them or something? Isn't the right place to do so?
That's more than I'm ready to think about right now.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I brought back this deploy script. Let's see if my deployment config file. Yeah, my deployment config file is messed up. So I got to fix that. Okay, and then I think I need to fix at least one other thing. Okay, I'm going to search for AWS. Whoops. Okay. Huh. All right. I thought I needed to change something else. Did I delete my deployment file? I don't know how I messed things up so badly. Yeah, I deleted it. What is wrong with me? Okay. Oh,
Already in ops.
yeah. Okay, and there's a couple things I need to fix in here. This is not AWS. Now it's DigitalOcean. There's at least one more place where this appears. Okay. And as long as I'm fixing stuff, what the heck else did I mess up in this last commit? What's this? This is the apply script. Looks like I just changed the apply script, so that's fine. Okay, I guess that's all I messed up. Okay, so now I'm going to try to run my deploy script. Okay, so right now it's doing that local build that I mentioned earlier. And while we're waiting for this, let's go to the app locally. So this is what the UI looks like right now, Ronan. It's very bare bones, but we have one test run here. Okay, so the build has finished and now it is pushing to the DigitalOcean registry. And this is the step that has always taken a very long time, and I don't understand why. But it could have just been a random internet connection issue. I don't know. But I see most of the layers of the image have already been pushed. We're just waiting for two more now. Okay, last layer. Let's use this time perhaps to think about what we're going to do next. So, assuming this finishes, I think what I want to do is look at my pods and see if it says init create container config error like it does now, or if it says something else. Yeah, and like before, this is just taking a really long time. And I do not know why. I'm going to check something. Docker image ls. This shows me all my Docker images. And I see that my image is like 1.18 gigs. And I don't know if that's normal or not. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Now we've gone from waiting for the upload to waiting for ChatGPT.
That's the thing when you do DevOps stuff. You're always waiting.
Yeah. Okay, that's still going. A minimal Rails Docker image might be closer to 200 to 300 megabytes. That's a lot smaller. Would you like to delve into specific strategies to reduce the Docker image size for your Rails application? Sure, I don't have anything better to do right now. Oh, whoops, I want to do my Docker file dot production. Sure, here's my Docker file for production. And it's still waiting. By the way, Ronan, are you in Paris or somewhere else in France?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not in Paris. I'm up north in Lille, close to the Belgian
What is
border.
it called?
Lille,
Lille. Like,
Lille.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not far away from Paris, but it's not Paris. I'm from Paris originally, and I moved there a couple of years ago.
Um, yeah, we went to
Puglia.
Paris earlier this year. We went only to Paris. We didn't go outside the
Yeah.
city at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, I
We
know you went to the local Ruby meetup there, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, were you there?
No, I wasn't,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
I try to be as much as I can, but I couldn't
hmm
this time around, which is too bad. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of people there. It almost felt like a conference. There were so many people there. It was like, I don't know, maybe,
Well, they may have been there for you, to be honest. The audience varies greatly from a month to the other, and maybe
yeah.
people made a special effort because you were there.
That's what people have told me. I find it hard to believe. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. We went, it was held in like a movie theater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna check on this again. It's still going. This is not normal. Like whatever's happening, whatever the
Yeah.
reason for this is not normal.
Is there a way
Um,
for you to know which layer, I mean, what the waiting layer is? What is it trying to do?
maybe I'm gonna do this. Is there a way for me to get any diagnostic info about the layer that it's waiting on? I'm going to read this while we're waiting for that. Your Docker file seems to follow the basic requirements, blah, blah, blah. Use a smaller base image. I don't think I want to do that, but maybe. Minimize layers. Combine run commands into a single layer. Okay. Here's an optimized version of your Docker file. I guess let's give it a try. We don't really have anything to lose. But first, I'm going to review my changes, unlike last time. I'm going to say fix deployment stuff. All right, and I'm going to kill this. It says Saturn configured. Let's see if it actually uploaded something. No, it didn't. Not surprising. Okay, I'm going to go to my Docker file. Okay, and then we'll try the deploy script again. After it builds, I'm going to see how big the image ended up being. Rona, do you go to many Ruby conferences?
I try to. I was lucky enough to go to 3 of them this year, which was way more than I did in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I go to the Paris meetup, I'd say every 3 months, something like that. I
Okay.
really enjoy meeting people and giving talks when I can, stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
this year was really good as far as conferences go. Rails World was awesome. Euroko was great.
Mm.
And Helvetic Ruby was really, really good. So
Oh,
I cannot
nice.
complain.
Helvetic Ruby, was that in Sweden?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was the first time the people from the local community there set up a conference, and it was really, really well set up.
Nice.
Excellent lineup, very interesting talks, very nice people as always in the Ruby community.
Mm-hmm.
I had a blast.
Nice. Um, yeah, I went to Friendly RB in last
Yeah,
September. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. Hoping to go back next year. Let's see. I think that was the only I think that was the only conference I did in 2023. Is that right? Yeah,
you
I
didn't
think
go to
so.
the big ones in the US like RubyConf or RailsConf?
No, didn't make it to those.
Too bad.
Yeah. But in 2024, there's going to be there's going to be Rails World in Toronto, which
Yeah,
is about a 6-hour drive from me, and
doable.
Rails Conf in Detroit, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from me, and then RubyConf in Chicago, which is about a 4-hour drive from me. So I can go to all three of those conferences without
Lucky
even
you.
getting on a plane.
Lucky you. I
Yeah.
must say, like many people from Europe, I was a bit disappointed to know that the next Rails World would be in the US. I mean, in North America.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's Rails World, it's not Rails Europe, but still, um, hopefully, I
Yeah.
managed to get there as well, to go there.
I wonder if they'll kind of alternate between the two continents.
Or maybe they could also try South America and Asia. I mean, it's the world is big, and there are people writing
Yeah,
Ruby all over the world.
that
It
is
would be
true.
awesome to do a conference in Africa, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine from Kenya says that she's tentatively planning to put on a conference in Kenya in
Oh, that
2024.
would be cool.
Mm-hmm. And there is a Ruby Fuza. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that happens in South Africa.
Mm.
I've never been to that one. I've been to Africa, but I've never been to a conference in Africa. They had one for a while. It was I think it might have also been in Kenya, but they haven't had it, I don't think, since the pandemic.
Things happen, but looks like an error again.
Yeah. Okay. Key not found database username. Okay. So there's some problem with environment variables or something like
Yeah.
that. Okay. I'm just trying to see how it was done the old way and how it might be done differently this way, and I'm not seeing anything. Okay. All right, so I'm going to tell ChatGPT about this. Okay. My build was working before, but now there seems to be a problem with inverse. Okay, and while we're waiting for that, let's see if we can figure out anything else on our own. One option is we could like revert to the other version and then bit by bit go to the new version.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, not surprisingly, GPT doesn't seem to have anything smart to say about this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do git checkout dockerfile dot production. Then I'm going to do it just a bit at a time. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to create a file called dockerfile.new. And then I can just kind of compare the two like this. Saying as builder, what's the as builder part all about? Huh. Copy the apps with gem from the builder stage. Okay. Okay, my app. Hmm. Oh, env install path. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, and this is a new stage. Interesting. All right, I'm just going to do it like this and see what happens. So the only thing we're changing right now is we're using the Ruby 312 Slim base image instead of Ruby 312. So I suspect that should make the image at least a little bit smaller. And Ronan, I assume, talking about conferences again, I assume you're aware that I put on my own conference.
Uh, I wasn't. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
it's called Sin City Ruby, happens in Las Vegas.
Yes, yes, I remember that. You mentioned
Hmm.
this in a podcast or something, but feel free to tell me more because I remember only the name. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the second time I've done it. I did it for the first time in 2022, and then I wasn't able to in 2023, bringing it back for 2024. So it happens in March. It was a lot of fun last time. There was like 40 people who came, and then this year I'm capping it at 100 people, and there's like 50 or 55 tickets sold so far.
nice. And you
Yeah.
organize everything all by yourself on your own? No help whatsoever?
Me and my wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I'm doing
Yeah.
everything on the laziest mode possible. So no sponsors, no swag, none of that stuff, no
Okay.
booths. It's I just rent a room and that's about it.
Oh, I think that's still quite a bit of work. I can imagine. You have to
Oh,
pick up the
not really.
lineup, do the audio and everything.
No, it's not a lot of work.
Oh, that's
You just
cool then.
email the hotel, they give you a contract, you sign it, you're good to go.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I had the thought. I don't think it's maybe a smart idea, at least not now, maybe someday. But I liked Paris so much, and the Ruby meetup in Paris was so much fun that I thought, man, maybe I should pick up the torch for the Paris RB conference. Because I asked somebody like, why is that not held anymore? And they're just like, well, the original organizers like just became too much work. They didn't want to do it anymore, which
yeah.
is that's a common story.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I
Usually
thought,
people just
mhm.
organize one and then they never do it again because they realize how difficult it can be.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and this is what happened, yeah, with the Paris one. I mean, I wouldn't. It shouldn't be too hard to find a venue, to find sponsors if you want some, but still, and to find some people to help you. I'm pretty sure you could
Hmm.
leverage the Ruby community, um, but still, and doing that remotely could be difficult. So maybe you'll have to spend a few days in Paris, which I'm pretty sure would not be too much of a burden.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just a financial risk.
that's always the thing, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
it's so
I,
unpredictable.
yeah, I gave a hand organizing a conference, but it was, I think it was 10 years ago now. It will be 10 years in 2024. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
long time ago. And even though I was just one among a dozen people doing stuff, I was already impressed with how many things there are to do. It was a 2-day conference, and I think it was
Uh-huh.
multi-track as well. So that
Oh,
explains a
okay.
bit. But still, it was really exciting. It was just like doing, I don't know, stage play or something. You're always rushing to fix the new issue that's popping up. There's always something to
Mm-hmm.
take care of, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. But still, I don't know how people manage to do this more than twice.
Yeah, I can really imagine like if somebody did a conference with all the bells and whistles, how it would be a ton of work, which is exactly why I chose not to do it that way.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
key is probably easier to do. When I see what Andy does with Brighton Ruby, for example, I'm just amazed. It's incredible. Or what the people from Helvetic Ruby we were discussing earlier have done. Just the three of them. It was very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really impressed by a lot of the work these people do. But that's not my style. I don't have an appetite for that level of masochism. And
Yeah, it's a
so,
different job.
yeah.
It's another calling.
Yeah. Okay. So that build was evidently successful, and now it's doing a push. And I guess we'll see after we wait a bit whether this is gonna just kind of hang forever like the other one did, or if it'll actually finish in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised to see that one of the layers failed and is waiting for a retry.
Yeah. So let's go back to your question, Ronan. Like, if there's any way to get
Yes.
any diagnostic info about a layer, let's see what ChatGPT had said about that. Hmm.
Maybe more on the DigitalOcean side.
Sorry.
I wonder if it's more an issue with the building of the image or the uploading, if it's something to do with your Docker setup or with DigitalOcean infrastructure.
Well, it's
It's only
definitely
pushing. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely an issue with the upload rather than the
Yeah.
build, but I don't know if that's because of something to do with DigitalOcean or something to do with me. You know, the overwhelming likelihood is usually that like when something goes wrong, it's usually your fault rather than something external. Whenever somebody encounters a bug and they're like, "Oh, it's a bug in the framework." I'm like,
Mm,
no, it's probably something you did wrong, not the framework."
yeah.
Okay, so now it's just stuck on one layer, but it's a different layer. Not that that necessarily means anything. So I suppose we'll give that a bit of time, but only a reasonable amount of time. Okay, install dependencies in one layer and clean up after. Okay, I
But
don't
isn't this
understand.
already
What's that?
what you're doing? I mean, I think it's the same thing in the Dockerfile.production file, right? I know there's a bit of a, yeah, removing files on
No,
top of
it does
fetching
combine
packages.
two things. So instead of doing the apt get update and the curl
Yeah,
in two separate steps, it combines them into
yeah,
one.
makes sense, I guess.
Oh, and it's doing the bundle install without the development and test gems. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to add that also. And I feel like that's enough changes, and let's do it like that. All right, so this is taking a long time. I don't find this acceptable. I'm gonna run it again. Oh, and by the way, let's check Docker image ls grep Saturn. What kind of impact did that
Hmm.
have? Oh, look at that.
You have new, yeah, you have new images.
Yeah, that's like just over half the size. So that's a significant improvement. Okay, I'm happy about that. Even aside from whatever this upload issue is, that seems like a positive thing
Yeah.
to reduce the image size. Okay, looks like after this, I'm gonna make these just like identical. I don't know if it's more idiomatic to have the trailing slashes, but I'll do that. Okay, so now it starts a new stage.
That's the main difference between your file and the suggested one,
Apparently
as
so.
far as I can tell.
And I don't know what the new stage is all about. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT about that. Okay, so our build is still bundling. First stage is named
Okay.
Builder and is based on blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of explaining what the stages do, but it's not explaining the higher level, like, why are we even doing this?
I guess the idea is that your final image will be as small as can be, since anything that is only temporarily necessary will not be included,
Hmm.
which may be why uh, the image is half the size of the previous one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
At the same time, if this is a temporary stage, why bother with removing the packages that have been downloaded?
Why
One of the
bother
changes
with what?
suggested was to remove the packages. There's the apt-get install and then rm, but if they're thrown away anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. But it's only removing.
Unless those files are copied to the new stage,
Oh, okay.
but
Hmm.
they're not. They don't
Okay,
seem
so we're
to be.
getting this database username error again, which is interesting to me because what change made that happen?
Be left behind when the new stage is built by copying the new one. You see what I mean?
But I'm not even doing two stages yet.
Oh, I thought you were.
No. So I'm gonna do
My
this.
mistake.
The only change I've made now, the only change I've made, okay, So we changed it to slim, and that worked. And then we changed this to this.
We shouldn't change a thing.
And I don't remember if we ran it successfully after changing the installation step or not. So that's what I'm testing now. I'm seeing if we change just that part, does it still work or not? Because that's very surprising to me that I would have that problem with that nvar.
If I may, it's funny. I feel like
Mhm.
what we're doing here is just what I call voodoo programming. Like we're trying stuff without knowing exactly what we're doing, and if it works, it's like magic. And it's usually not the thing that I like to do. It's the thing that you tend to do when you're beginning learning whatever
Mhm.
you're learning, like Docker, as of in my case. But it feels really uncomfortable not to really know what you're doing and why things work when they do work and why they don't when they don't. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a useful term, voodoo programming, because it's kind of like the opposite of what you might call scientific programming.
exactly.
Yeah, and I prefer to be more scientific. And I'd like to think that's what we're doing right now. Like, we had that error about the environment variable, and I didn't want to like try to dig through everything and figure out why that's happening. I'd rather just revert to what's working and start from that starting point. And so where we're performing tests to see what the culprit is, like first of all, if we change the base image from Ruby 312 to 312 Slim, does that
Yeah.
cause the problem? And the answer we found was no. And now we're doing it with this installation step. And if the answer is yes, that does cause a problem, I don't yet know why, but at least then we'll know what is causing the problem, and then we can dig down for a finer grained diagnosis. But while we're waiting for this, let's see what GPT said earlier when we told it about the environment variable. Oh, yeah, I remember it didn't give us anything very helpful, I don't think. I've noticed that GPT is fairly poor when it comes to diagnosing bugs. Instead of, you know, I think the best way to diagnose bugs is to narrow down where the problem lies
Yeah.
until you find the exact point where it is. Um, but GPT takes an approach instead of performing tests to narrow down where the problem is, it says basically like, oh, it could be this, could be this, could be this.
Yeah.
And that's not a very productive way because you're just guessing instead of narrowing it down.
I guess so. I think you could see these suggestions as hypothesis. And one way would be to pick one and then decide, okay, if this is the one I want to try out, how can I try it out? Or we can do the bisecting thing, like, okay, let's try this one and see in which half of the file lies the mistake or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'd like to do things that way. Yes. I think the problem with GPT is it starts hypothesizing too early because
Yeah.
it's like if you have such little information that you're hypothesizing all over the place, then testing all those hypotheses is going to be very wasteful because
Sure,
there's just too many
if you
of
can
them.
narrow down the amount of hypotheses that you have, you'll go faster, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think we're doing a smarter approach to the hypothesizing where we're saying my hypothesis is that the problem lies here. Is that true or false? It's false. Now my hypothesis is that it lies here. Is that true or false? And we'll find that one out shortly, of course. Oh, we know because the build has finished and there was no error about that environment variable. Okay, so now let's make one more tiny change. Let's only change this. And unless I'm crazy, last time this is all we had changed and it failed.
I don't remember.
Um, and I'm guessing that this push is going to fail because it's no different from the previous times. Okay, we'll run this again. And how big was the image that time? Whoops. And it is time to wrap up soon here. Okay, so the image was similar in size, 677 megs. Fascinating. So science tells us that was the culprit. Okay. So just changing it to without development test is what created that problem.
I
So
fail to
weird.
see how it could affect the environment variables. I mean, we're just configuring bundler there.
Right. And since that's not the only thing that was changed, let's do this. And then we can be 100% sure that the without development
Mm.
test part is what made the difference. In the meantime, I'm going to show this to ChatGPT and see what it says about it. And I think OpenAI changed how this works. You used to be able to like open this up in one tab and then go to a different tab and then come back, but they changed it so continue it doesn't continue with the response unless you have this tab focused.
Okay, so it stopped working when it's not focused.
Yeah,
So
which is kind of annoying because then you just have to sit there
sure,
and
you
wait.
have to wait.
Yeah. Hmm. You know, this is making me realize that I don't really understand Docker images and environment variables in general. Like,
Yeah.
it's not working like this. How was it working before? I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm
Yeah.
only starting to learn about Docker. It's something that I've just pushed aside for a long time. I was not interested in Docker, but now it's getting difficult not to use it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm only learning now, and I don't know anything about M variables yet.
So let's ask, how do I know what envars I need to include in the Docker file and what I don't? It's doing one of these crazy double answer things. Build time and runtime variables. Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, and how was it suggesting I put those in there? Oh, use arg to pass the variables at build time. Okay. And that passed, telling me that it is in fact this line. It's not the jobs 4 and retry 3 stuff that's making the difference. Okay. Okay. Why could run, okay, why could changing run bundle install to this make it so the app, no, make it so the build process is looking for database URL? It's very surprising and confusing to me.
Would you be using some kind of gem like .env that would be in your development or test groups in your gem file?
Good question.
That's completely voodoo. And not that's the case.
Yeah, okay. Hmm.
So because you
Interesting.
use .env Rails to fetch your env variables, not having the gem because you're not installing the gem from the other groups makes the build fail.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it is .env Rails, which that certainly seems like a very plausible hypothesis. If that's the case, what do we do? I don't think the right answer is to just still include the .env Rails gem. I think I think the fact that it was working before was only a side effect of the fact that I was doing it wrong. And so I don't think the answer is to go back to doing it wrong again. The answer is to do it the right way.
Yeah. Do you see any reason not to use .env Rails in production?
Yeah,
You'd rather read your env
because
variables from somewhere else than the .env file, right?
yeah, my env files are specifically for development.
Okay, fair enough. In
Hmm.
this case, you have to somehow push the envars to your um, production Docker image build in another way, which is what ChatGPT was suggesting above. You can mention them in your Docker file, I guess, or you can
Right, like when you
expose
invoke the
them.
Docker file.
Yeah, maybe you can pass them when you build the image through the Docker file so that they are injected in the container when it's built. I don't know if I'm very clear.
I understand what you mean, but I don't want to do that. That seems like there's a more convenient way to do it. There
Yeah.
must be, I imagine.
Honestly, I think in your situation, what I would do is just look at what Kamal does
Oh,
because I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it's the same issue there, and I'm certain they have some way to handle the passing of m variables. But that's because I'm just a sucker for everything that comes out of Basecamp.
I haven't spent like a single second looking at Camel. This is interesting.
What do
So
they
there's
use?
nothing to do with inverse here.
Yeah, and there must be some kind of secret somewhere. The thing is that I've been playing with this, but it was last month, and I've just forgotten everything that I learned.
Hmm.
Okay, so Kamal does use .env, but you can also hook password manager if you want like one password.
Wait, where do you see that?
On the documentation, kamaldeploy.org/docs. And they said that Kamal uses .env to automatically load environment variables in the .env file present in the application root.
Whoops. Okay.
Yeah, this may be a rabbit hole. I don't know if we should look further into this.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe I should use Camel instead of doing it my own way. But anyway, let's see where this is at. Okay, this is still taking forever. Yeah, so if we don't use .env, what do we use? Let's get really clear on what we're trying to do right now. I don't want to get mentally muddy and confuse myself. Okay. So the problem is that it needs at least the database URL environment variable.
Yes. And I think it needs it to build the asset.
And maybe it wasn't database URL, maybe it was database username. I want to be more sure about that before we proceed. Yeah, database username. Okay. And I'm sure that it needs not just that, but host and
Yeah, then
port.
we'd ask for the rest. Sure. Because it wants to connect to the DB.
But why does it want to connect to the database?
I think that's because you're running the, no, it's the bundle install. No, I think it's the Rails asset precompile that fails.
Okay.
Does the asset pipeline need access to the DB? I
I
don't
don't
see why
know.
it would.
Why during the build process does the app try to connect to the database?
Bingo. I didn't know that precompiling the assets required access to the DB, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I've been using the asset pipeline for years now, but yeah, wasn't aware of that.
Okay. And then suppose we're okay with the DB connection. Oh, you know what? Just to cross reference Camel again, do they precompile assets?
I think they
Well,
do,
I
but I
guess
think they do locally.
this is for
Yeah, it's not Rails specific, so
it's not real specific.
I think it can be used with any kind of application. So if you want to do some specific stuff, you have to add them.
Okay.
Or maybe that's just because Camel is also meant to be used in a no build setup. Like you don't have to compile anything. So
Yeah, I was gonna say
this
about
is
the
the way
no
I
build.
use it, to be honest, with just fetching from CD and stuff like that.
Okay. I wondered if maybe we could skip asset compilation, but I think probably not. Okay. Suppose I'm okay with connecting to the database. Um, what envers do I use? Local, production? Like neither one really seems to make complete sense. I shouldn't have said local, I should have said development, but none of that
Yeah.
really makes complete sense to me. Also, can I maybe just specify arbitrary values
Now
for
that I think
username and
about it,
password?
I think I've seen these kind of things, like passing whatever just to because I don't know if the asset pipeline actually connects to the DB.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure I've seen something like that, including in Kamal somewhere, um, or in Docker files. Let me see.
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, sure. I feel like it should be setting Rails env. Okay. Oh, look, we didn't get the same error.
What is it this time?
No error at all.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Our image is only slightly smaller, 635 megabytes. But even if the image is no smaller, it feels better to be doing this in a more correct feeling way. Oh, I know what I did. Before I like cleaned up these files because this is just an error. These shouldn't be here. And I think when I deleted these, I accidentally
You
deleted
also
something
deleted the.
meaningful.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, actually. Um, oh yeah. Oh, look. And the push completed.
We're getting somewhere. Getting somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so now I can finally do git pods, and I bet it still won't be successful, but we can at least see what's happening. Okay,
Let's still
create
container
container
configure.
config error. And we can do describe pod for this. Ah, okay.
Missing keys.
Couldn't
Why
find
do you still need the
AWS.
AWS key? I thought you were not using AWS anymore.
I'm not. So I'm going to remove that. Let's see. Okay. 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 Apply environment tag. Okay. So when I ran this deploy script a minute ago, it said deploying this. Okay. Apply staging, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that should have reapplied the deployment. Okay. We get another error, not terribly surprising.
Well, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing our secrets are not all the way squared away still.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't find SaturnCI API username. Okay. So these secrets are actually encrypted in this file, so I don't care. Oh, database name to do. All right. Hmm. Okay. So I had set some of these things at some point. All right, I'm going to real briefly unshare my screen and copy some variables. Bear with me a second.
Sure.
I feel like we're very close to at least progressing past this point. Hmm. Actually, you know what? I don't think it's going to be that simple. Um, the values I have locally, I don't think they're going to fly for production,
Okay.
and so might as well. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be like a 2 minute thing to get that working. So it might be a good time to call it. But we at least got past our build issues. We maybe got past the push issue. I don't know if the push worked because we actually fixed something or if it
Yeah.
was just a coincidence because it has worked more than 0 times in the past.
Mm.
Yeah. So let's hope we fixed it, but I guess we'll find out as we deploy or as we attempt to deploy multiple more times in the future. If it continues to work consistently, that means we fixed it. If it doesn't continue to work consistently, that means we still have more work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
All
fun.
right. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me,
Oh,
Ronan,
it was a
and
pleasure.
yeah, and I'll see you next time.
See you. Bye.
Bye.